Picture this: two legends sitting across from each other, one Swiss, one Spanish, both having conquered tennis in ways that seemed impossible. But when Roger Federer finally opened up about what truly separated him from Rafael Nadal, the answer wasn't what anyone expected. It wasn't about technique. It wasn't about titles. It was something much deeper, something that would ultimately force one of the greatest athletes of all time to walk away from the sport he loved forever. The year was 2003. A young Rafael Nadal stepped onto Roland Garros for the first time as a professional. Meanwhile, Roger Federer had just claimed his first Grand Slam at Wimbledon. Nobody could have predicted what was about to unfold. Federer, the Swiss maestro with effortless grace and picture-perfect technique, every shot looked like poetry in motion. Then there was Nadal, raw power wrapped in relentless determination, sweat dripping, muscles straining, every point fought like it was his last breath. Two completely different approaches to the same game, and yet they would push each other to heights neither could have reached alone. But there was something Roger never spoke about publicly, something that ate away at him every single day as he watched his greatest rival dominate those clay courts in Paris. Roger Federer was born in Basel, Switzerland, in 1981. As a child, he wasn't just obsessed with tennis, he played football, basketball, even tried skiing, but tennis called to him differently. "I remember watching Stefan Edberg play," Federer once said. "The way he moved it was like watching an artist paint on canvas." By age 11, Roger was showing glimpses of magic, but he almost quit. The pressure was immense, training sessions that lasted hours, missing normal childhood experiences. There were nights when young Roger would lie in bed, questioning everything. Was this really what he wanted? Then came 1998. 17-year-old Roger won Junior Wimbledon. The tennis world took notice, but special doesn't always mean easy. His early professional years were a roller coaster, flashes of brilliance, followed by devastating losses. The media called him talented, but temperamental. Roger felt every word, every criticism, every doubt. People don't realize how much those early losses affected me, he would later reflect. I'd go back to my hotel room and just ... wonder if I was good enough. But then something changed. July 2003, Wimbledon, when he defeated Mark Philippoussis to claim his first Grand Slam title. Something clicked. This wasn't just another tennis player. This was an artist who happened to play tennis. But while Roger was celebrating, a young Spanish teenager was making his own statement. Rafael Nadal had just turned professional, 17 years old, with a playing style that defied everything tennis coaches had been teaching for decades. Where Roger made tennis look effortless, Nadal made it look like war. Their first meeting came in March 2004, Miami. Roger was world number 1. Nadal was ranked 34th. Roger expected a routine victory. What he got was a 3-set battle that announced Rafael Nadal's arrival. "I knew immediately," Federer later admitted. "This kid was different. The way he fought for every point. I'd never experienced anything like it." Nadal won that match. But more importantly, he'd planted a seed of doubt in Roger's mind. What followed was one of the greatest rivalries in sports history. Roland Garros 2005, Nadal's first French Open victory. Roger watched from his hotel room, knowing he'd fallen short once again on clay. This became the pattern. Roger dominating on grass and hard courts, Nadal owning the clay. The tennis world was divided. Team Federer versus Team Nadal. Elegance versus effort. Swiss precision versus Spanish passion. Then came Wimbledon, 2008, the match many still consider the greatest ever played. For hours and 48 minutes of pure drama. When Nadal finally won, lifting the Wimbledon trophy as darkness fell, Something inside Roger Federer changed forever. "I cried that night," Roger would later reveal. "Not just because I lost, but because I realized I might not be invincible after all." But here's where the real story begins. As the years passed, Roger began noticing something troubling. His body was changing. The recovery time between matches was getting longer. The morning stiffness was lasting longer. The little aches and pains that used to disappear overnight were lingering for days. Meanwhile, Nadal seemed unstoppable. His physicality was unmatched. His endurance endless. This is where Roger Federer first began to understand the fundamental difference between himself and his greatest rival. Rafa's body was built for what tennis has become. Roger would later explain. "Mine wasn't." Think about that for a moment. Here's a man who had won 20 Grand Slam titles. And yet, he was humble enough to admit that his rival possessed something he simply couldn't match. It wasn't just about physical strength. It was about durability. The ability to push the human body to its absolute limits, match after match, year after year. Without breaking down, the first real warning sign came in 2016. Roger was 34 years old. His knee was sending signals that something wasn't right. When he underwent a minor knee procedure in February 2016, everyone assumed it was routine maintenance. Roger thought so too. What he didn't know was that this was the beginning of the end. "I thought I'd be out for a few weeks," Roger later recalled. "I had no idea I was starting a journey that would last for years." The recovery was slower than expected. The knee felt different. For someone whose entire career was built on precision, this uncertainty was devastating. Meanwhile, Nadal was reaching new heights. The contrast was stark, painful, unavoidable. But Roger, being Roger, he found a way to adapt. 2017 became one of the most remarkable comeback stories in sports history. After missing 6 months, Roger returned to win the Australian Open, then Wimbledon at 35 years old. He was playing some of the best tennis of his career. "I thought maybe I'd figured it out," he would later say. "Maybe I could outsmart Father Time, but the human body has its own timeline." The 2018 season started with another Australian Open victory. Roger's 20th Grand Slam title. But behind the celebrations, Roger was fighting a private battle. His knee was getting worse. Simple things. Walking upstairs. Getting out of bed in the morning. Playing with his children. "That's when I knew," Roger would later admit. "When tennis starts affecting your life outside of tennis, ... something has to change." 2019 brought one last great moment. Wimbledon final against Djokovic. Roger had to match points on his own serve. He couldn't convert either one. "I could feel my body telling me it was time," he reflected. But my heart wasn't ready to listen. The COVID-19 pandemic gave Roger time to think. As he watched other players continue competing, he began to understand something profound. This wasn't about tennis anymore. This was about acceptance. In February 2021, Roger had another knee surgery. His third in 5 years. This time, the recovery was even slower. "I remember the exact moment I knew," Roger would later reveal. "I was doing a simple exercise in physical therapy, and I felt this limitation that wasn't there before." The 2022 Laver Cup in London became Roger Federer's goodbye. Playing doubles alongside Rafael Nadal. When they lost that match, the tears came immediately. But they weren't just tears of sadness. They were tears of gratitude in the months that followed. Roger began speaking more openly about the difference between him and Nadal. "Rafa's body is different," he explained. "It's not just that he's strong. It's that he recovers differently. He processes physical stress differently. I always knew I was playing against time," he continued. Rafa seemed immune to that. This wasn't self-pity. This was simply acknowledgement that even among the greatest athletes, everyone has different gifts, different limitations. Roger's gift was artistry, grace, making the impossible look effortless. Nadal's gift was durability, resilience, playing at an elite level longer than anyone thought possible. In his final interview, Roger was asked if he had any regrets. "I wish my body could have lasted as long as Rafa's," he said quietly. "But I'm grateful for every match it allowed me to play. The difference between Rafa and me isn't about who wanted it more," he concluded. "It's about who was built to last longer. And there's no shame in that." Roger Federer's story is complete now. A masterpiece of grace, excellence, and dignity. The difference between them was never about talent. It was about time. And in the end, that made all the difference. What did you think of Roger's incredible journey? If you found this story moving, hit that like button and subscribe for more untold stories from the world of sports.